Hello, welcome back. Welcome to the grammar portion of our lesson. Today we're going to be talking about gerunds and infinitives. Now, what are gerunds and infinitives? You might be thinking about this right now. Well, that's a good question. Gerunds are far less complex than they sound. A gerund is a noun made from a verb by adding ing to the end of that verb. For example, I am working. She is listening to music. They are seeing a movie. You can see that the general form of the verb just adds ing with no change to the verb itself. Now, you can use a gerund as the subject, the complement, or the object of a sentence. For example, reading helps you learn English. Here, reading is the subject of the sentence. You can also say, her favorite hobby is reading. In that sentence, reading is the complement of the sentence. You can also say, I enjoy reading. And in this case, reading is the object of the sentence. Okay, let's move on to infinitives. Infinitives are the to form of the verb, to. The infinitive form of the verb work is to work. You can also use an infinitive as the subject, the complement, or the object of a sentence. For example, to learn is important. Learn is the subject of this sentence. You can also say the most important thing is to learn. And yes, in this situation, learn is now the complement of the sentence. You could also say he wants to learn. And in this case, learn is now the object of the sentence. Infinitives as subjects sound very formal, so most people just use gerunds instead. For example, we can say, to learn a language is difficult. But what we usually say is, learning a language is difficult. Yes, using the gerund, especially in spoken English, is much more common. In fact, you will use this form 90% of the time. Yes, it's just more natural, and you'll sound more like a native speaker if you use the gerund instead of the infinitive. Also, you should know that only gerunds can be the object of a preposition. For example, he knows a lot about cooking. We cannot say he knows a lot about to cook. Okay? Now, as the object of a sentence, it can be more difficult to choose between a gerund or an infinitive, but you can do it. You can do it. I have faith in you. In these situations, gerunds and infinitives are not normally interchangeable. Usually the main verb in the sentence determines whether you use a gerund or an infinitive. For example, he enjoys cooking. Enjoys here requires a gerund. You could also say, he wants to swim. Here, want requires an infinitive. Some common verbs that can be followed by either a gerund or an infinitive without causing a change in the meaning are begin, continue, hate, intend, like, love, prefer, and start. For example, do you like playing sports? Or do you like to play sports? You can see that the verb like doesn't change in either case and can be used with both a gerund and an infinitive. Let's see another example of this. You could say, for example, I hate playing baseball. Or I hate to play baseball. Both sentences say the same thing, but in one, a gerund is being used, and in another, the infinitive is being used. The best way to use gerunds and infinitives is to memorize the list of which ones to use and when. The more you use them, by the way, the easier it will be to remember these things. All right, everyone, that does it for me. But I hope that you guys got a lot out of today's lesson. I know that gerunds and infinitives sound like scary and complex things. But gerunds and infinitives are actually very easy to use. Anyways, that does it for me, like I said before, but we'd like to thank you for being here today. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. And I get the feeling that you guys would like to start soon. Or should I say, I get the feeling that you guys would like starting soon. Get it? The grammar fun never stops here on New Connection.